The clock is ticking. Right now, somewhere over the Persian Gulf, American fighter jets are completing their 10,000 combat sortie over Iranian airspace. On the ground, fire burns at petrochemical plants, bridges, and power stations. And in Washington, a president is standing at a podium telling the world tonight might be the night. This is not a drill. This is not a simulation. This is Iran war. And in the next 7 minutes, we're going to break down exactly where we are, how we got here, and what happens next. On February 28th, the United States and Israel launched coordinated strikes against Iran. That was the opening shot. Since then, the conflict has exploded across the region, and neither side has backed down. In the 37 days since, American forces have conducted more than 10,000 combat flights over Iranian territory. Over 13,000 individual targets have been struck. Iran, for its part, has fired missiles into Israel, hitting a residential building in Haifa and killing at least 4 civilians. Iranian attacks have also swept across the Gulf, striking power plants, water desalination facilities, and oil infrastructure in both Kuwait and Bahrain. This is a full-scale regional war, and today it's reached a critical inflection point. Over the weekend, President Trump issued what is called a final ultimatum to Iran. The message was simple: open the Strait of Hormuz to free passage by Tuesday evening, that's 8 p.m. Washington time, or face strikes on Iranian power plants and bridges. Why does the Strait of Hormuz matter so much? 20% of the world's entire oil supply passes through that narrow waterway. Iran's ability to block or threaten it has already sent oil prices surging and rattled the global economy. Every day, the strait remains under threat. The world feels it in fuel prices, shipping costs, and supply chains. On Monday, Trump stood at the White House and made his position crystal clear. He called the deadline final. He said Iran has had plenty of time, and then he said something that stopped reporters in their tracks. He claimed the entire country of Iran could be, and quote, taken out in one night, and that night he suggested might be today. When asked whether striking civilian infrastructure constitutes a war crime, Trump did not hesitate. I am not worried about it, he said. At the same time Trump was issuing threats, a diplomatic channel was opening quietly through Pakistan. Earlier Monday, Pakistan put forward a 45-day ceasefire proposal after a series of back-channel meetings. Iran received the proposal and sent its own response through Islamabad. Iran's answer was not a yes. Tehran rejected the temporary truce outright and instead pushed for something more permanent, a complete end of the war, with 10 specific conditions, including a protocol for safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, the lifting of all sanctions, and guarantees that Iran will not be attacked again. Iran's diplomat in Cairo summed it up bluntly: we won't merely accept a ceasefire, we only accept an end of the war with guarantees. Trump acknowledged the Iranian proposal on Monday, calling it a significant step, but not enough. The White House confirmed negotiations are ongoing, but made it equally clear the war is not paused. Their statement, Operation Epic Ferry, continues. Woven through all of this is a story that Trump devoted a significant portion of his Monday press conference to: the rescue of 2 American airmen downed inside Iran. Last week, an F-15 was shot down over Iranian territory, first manned U.S. aircraft lost in this entire war. 2 airmen were stranded. A rescue mission involving roughly 155 aircraft, 64 fighter jets, 48 refueling tankers, 13 rescue aircraft was launched. The mission lasted 45 hours and 56 minutes. It almost failed due to weather. The final evacuation was completed when gunfire was encountered at close range. Two C-130 transport planes had to be left behind and destroyed on the ground to prevent Iran from capturing sensitive U.S. military equipment. Both airmen made it out alive, but White House reporters noted that Trump's extended focus on this story served a purpose beyond celebration. This is an unpopular war in the United States, and the rescue of 2 American soldiers is the kind of story that cuts through. It's the kind of story that reframes the narrative away from civilian casualties and war crime accusations and towards American heroism. Meanwhile, the battlefield is shifting in ways that would make diplomacy even harder. Israel struck a major petrochemical plant connected to Iran's South Pass gas field, one of the energy exports in its joint gas operation with Qatar. Iran's national petrochemical company said the fire was brought under control, but damage is still being assessed. More significantly, the head of the IRGC's intelligence organization, Major General Majid Kademi, was killed in a U.S.-Israeli strike. Iran's supreme power, Ayatollah Khamenei, personally offered condolences, and the IRGC itself issued a chilling statement announcing what it calls Operation Crushing Revenge, promising in its words a major retaliatory strike against those responsible. At least 34 people have been killed in US-Israeli strikes across Iran, including at least 6 children. So here is where we stand as of today. A president with a Tuesday deadline, an enemy promising crushing revenge, a ceasefire proposal that's already been rejected, a defense secretary promising the biggest strikes yet, and somewhere in the millions of people in Iran, Israel, Kuwait, Bahrain, and across the Gulf, living underneath all of it. The next few hours could determine whether this war escalates into something far larger or whether a diplomatic thread, however fragile, manages to hold. We will be watching and we will bring you every update as it happens. If you found this breakdown valuable, share it with someone who needs to understand what's happening right now. And subscribe to The Voice of All, because in a story moving this fast, you can't afford to miss the next development.